Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Digital Classroom. Today we are taking a look at this shot. And how did I do it? Okay guys, so here we see Lois in front of our click prop backdrop, in this case the sweethearts. Now it's a very bright backdrop, and in essence I normally go for the more darker ones, but this time we wanted to do something that's a little bit more airy, a little bit more open. So let's first take a look at our lighting setup. We're using a 1.2 meters softbox from Hensel without any grids, so just the softbox. As an accent light I'm using two strip lights with grids. And as you can see in the video, we are using the Triflection system as a fill-in. Now Triflection is a very special reflector. Now normal reflectors, of course, you can place under your model and open up shadows. The nice thing about Triflection is actually that because it's three different reflectors, you can switch easily between white and silver. But you can also just move them around and even use them like this, or as you can see in the video, like a more classic setup. And that just makes it very flexible to use. Now, the reason I'm using it in this shot has two reasons. The middle reflector I'm using to light up the shadows under the chin of our model. The side reflectors I'm actually using to open up the shadows on our clothing. So how did we get the final result? Let me first take a look at how our shots look without any modification. So this is a model with exactly the same lighting setup, but I'm not using one element that I'm gonna add later on. Yeah, you saw the shot? Okay, let's take a look at this shot. This is exactly the same setup, but now you can see that there's a lot of lens flare from the side, right? Okay, let's take a look at this shot. That looks a lot better, right? It looks a little bit like the shot we started with. A lot more lens flare. It almost looks like a little bit of smoke in the scene. So how did I do that stuff? Well, normally I can do a lot of stuff with lighting. And you can of course do a lot of stuff in Photoshop, but I'm more like, let's do it on set right away, right? That's more challenging and it's also a better result often. The lens flares are actually pretty easy. I'm using a filter called the Black Mist filter from K&F Concept. And the Black Mist filter is available in different strengths. Now for video I highly recommend 1/8. For the very simple reason you don't want everything to start blooming. Now for photography I'm always switching between the 1/4 and the 1/2. So half and a quarter. But what does the filter do? In essence, it's a normal filter with black nano dots. Now, you probably already heard about soft focus filters and star filters, right? Well, it's something like a soft focus filter, but totally different. So what I don't like about a soft focus filter is that whatever I shoot, it will be soft. And I don't want that. What I love is that the shadow areas are razor sharp and full of contrast. But the highlights, those should have a little bit of blooming and maybe just spread out those lens flares, because lens flares sometimes can be really harsh. And I want that to be nice and smoothened out. As you can see in the results, this is actually what the filter does. Now, in all essence, I have the filter on my camera almost all the time. Also on the street or when traveling, it's always there. And that's the nice thing about the Black Mist filter. When there's no backlighting, the filter doesn't do a lot. You can see it a little bit in the skin, it looks a little bit nicer, but that's very subtle. It could also be in my mind, but it just looks a little bit better. But in essence, there's not a real difference. As soon as you start using backlighting and highlights, oh my, that filter really starts to shine. But still, everything that's dark stays dark, so you don't have that raised blacks in your images, which I don't really like. So in essence, what I did here was very simple. We have that big softbox lighting our backdrop and our model, and of course bouncing a little bit of Triflection into the lower part of her chin, opening that up. Don't open it up completely, that looks so fake. So make sure that the Triflection is low or switch over to white. It should be opened up, but it should still show a little bit of shadow in my opinion. Otherwise shoot with a ring flash. The side lighting, that's where the trick is. If you want to get a lot of lens flare, you need a lot of light hitting your sensor, right? Because otherwise you don't get lens flare. But if you're using accent lights and you're using a lot of power, that will actually blow out, of course, the sides of your model. And especially with Lois, with blonde hair, it will blow out very, very quickly. Oh, and by the way, it's fake what she's wearing, the fur. So we don't believe in real fur, so it's always fake. And the side lights will actually blow out those furs and of course also the blonde hairs. So how do we get a lot of power from those strobes? in the lens, but not on our model. And that's the trick where we want to talk about today. The model is here, you're the camera, and normally your accent lights are here, aimed towards your model, hitting the model from the side. You can also see that in the video a little bit. What we did later on in that setup is actually keep the model here, but now place the lights closer to our model. By doing this, you always have to remember that light, the center of the light is always very bright, but also harsh. The sides of the light are way softer, but also much lower in output, and that's the trick. By using the side of the light, you're literally giving your model a little bit of a kiss of light, but all that power from the center goes straight into your camera. So you get a lot of power to your camera, and of course also to Triflection. And that gives you that lens flare and lights up the backdrop a little bit and our model. That's why the Triflection is actually set up the way that it is. Those side panels are a little bit more angled. Make sure that those light sources are next to your model and you're using only the side of the light to hit your model, and everything else is focused on your camera. So aim those strobes straight at your camera, get all that light in your camera, but only just a little bit on your model. And then you get a shot like this. So one more time. Let's take a look at a shot without the black mist filter. Great. Now take a look at a shot with 1.4. And now let's take a shoot at 1.2. As you can see, 3 totally different looks. Personally, I switch a little bit in the studio between 1.2 and 1.4. You just choose whatever you like, but if you're shooting a lot of outside work, like street and travel photography, I think I would go for 1.4. The 1.2 is a little bit extreme sometimes, but the 1.4, that's an all-rounder. And if I need a little bit more, I take the 1.2. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this tip for today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And of course, tell other people about our channel so we can grow. Hit that like button and of course, subscribe. It really helps us out a lot if you guys subscribe. So, see you again for the next tip. Bye guys.